Mary had a little man. The fault. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon.
I have a dream.
Change has come to America.
Believe me.
Help is on the way.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show.
Turn up your mind.
This morning, authorities are searching for answers after a shooting at a Sweet 16 birthday party left 4 people dead.
There are no words to describe the emotions that we're all feeling.
Officials say gunfire rang out around 10:30 p.m. Saturday night at this dance hall in Dadeville, injuring 28 people.
If you or you know somebody that has any information about what occurred last night, I cannot stress this enough, ever how minor you think it is, we absolutely need you to share it.
One of those killed, the birthday girl's brother, 18-year-old Phil Dowdle, a star athlete set to take off to Jacksonville State on a football scholarship.
He had one goal to get to the NFL and take care of his mom.
His high school coach says the teen's mother was also injured.
His mom was inside the building.
Yeah.
She was also shot?
Yes, she was shot also. She was chaperone in here, so she was hit a couple times in the legs too.
What did she say about how she's doing?
It's tough right now for him, real tough.
One hospital confirming it admitted 15 patients with gunshot wounds, most of them teenagers, 5 in critical condition. Survivor Bray Hutchinson speaking to ABC News from her hospital bed.
When I first felt that I got shot, I grabbed onto somebody, I don't know who, and I was yelling for help, and nobody would help me, so I had to gain my strength and to walk outside after being shot.
So far this year has seen more mass shootings than days. President Biden issuing a statement following this latest shooting, saying in part, "This is outrageous and unacceptable. Our communities need and deserve better."
Yeah, well, this is the country that you have made. This is what it is. Children get shot every single day now. They just pile up. They just pile up one on top of the other now. And that is the price for freedom. That is the price for freedom. Oh my God! I mean, what kind of a weird, ugly, sick, twisted culture have we created? And I know a lot of people are going, "I didn't do it. Why are you saying we?" Because we're part of it. Okay, we live in this country. We vote in this country, or we try to vote in this country, and our children are turning up dead. Our children are turning up in ERs. Our children, and Wayne LaPierre literally stands on a stage and threatens every Republican with political retribution should they do anything about it, right?
I don't care how many billionaires, TikTok stars, or Hollywood airheads they've got. Hear this. Gun-hating politicians should never go to bed unafraid of what this association and all of our millions of members can do to their political careers.
He's just extorting people now at his own convention, out in the open, on public, broadcasts. Just saying, I don't care. I don't care what everybody wants. I don't care how many Americans. I don't care how many this, that. I really don't care. Billionaires, people who are organized, mothers who have lost. I don't really care because I'm Satan. I'm Satan. And I will destroy their political careers. And apparently this is a threat that works with the GOP. This is the threat. This is what they're afraid of. They're not afraid of losing their kids. They're not afraid of losing their lives. They're not afraid of being shot at softball games, apparently, because Steve Scalise was shot at a softball game. And he couldn't give a rat's ass about anything more than he cares about his political career. And we know that because he was shot. And he's against any reasonable gun safety measures, period, end of story. And that wasn't the only shooting that we had over the weekend. Oh, no, oh, hell no. Here's Louisville that's just now recovering from a school shooting where 3 legislators tried to talk about a shooting couple days before in a neighboring state in Tennessee. They were told, sit down, shut up, and you know what? We're going to undo the results of a free and fair election right in front of everybody's face, and we're going to expel you, and good luck with that. And they were able to go to their city councils and get reappointed as interim House members in the Tennessee legislature. I mean, it's so bizarre. And they just do this right in front of your face. And then in Kentucky, we had a mass shooting. And here we are again listening to Mayor Craig Greenberg tell you that there was yet another one.
This has been an unspeakable week of tragedy for our city. On Monday, we lost 5 of our fellow citizens to a horrific act of workplace gun violence. And now, 5 days later, we're at another scene of a reckless act of gun violence.
Oh my God.
Whereas Deputy Chief Humphrey just noted, 2 are deceased and 4 more are at University Hospital. This is not our city. This is not who we are. This is not who we want to be. We have doctors and nurses at University of Louisville Hospital right now, again, that are working to save the lives of gun violence victims. This is enough.
Yeah.
LMPD Victim Services is again working with victims' families because loved ones have been taken too soon by gun violence.
Well, it's not enough. It's never going to be enough. In fact, you have the right wing saying, hey, look, this is the price we pay for living in a free society. I swear to God.
Second Amendment protects all the other amendments. That's a fact.
That's a fact.
And there is a cost to any form of liberty. That's a fact. If you have cars, you get 50,000 auto fatalities every single year. If you have planes, you're going to have some planes crash. You have the Open Skies Act, you're going to have a bad pilot. You have pools, unfortunately, you have kids wander into the pool and they die of suffocation. Happens far too often in Arizona. You have peanuts, people could be eating alone in their home and they could choke to death.
Oh my God.
You get the point. Liberty has some costs, but yes, liberty is worth it. And I say that because we live under this delusion that somehow we can get gun deaths down to 0. So if you come from the premise that we're going to have an armed citizenry, you're going to have a cost.
I don't come from the premise that we're going to have an armed citizenry, okay? And by the way, cars are registered, cars are licensed, cars that explode, you can sue the car manufacturer. None of those things apply to guns. None of them. They're not insured, they're not registered, and you can't sue the manufacturer of the gun. That's number one. Number two, putting a peanut in my mouth and I choke, okay, I choke, is not the same as going to somebody's house and having them shoot me in the head, which also happened this weekend.
What do we want? Justice! The Kansas City community protesting on Sunday after 16-year-old Ralph Yarl was shot as he was trying to pick up his siblings last week. Police say Yarl accidentally went to the wrong address where he was shot and seriously wounded by the homeowner. Officers arrived at the scene after a neighbor called 911 and took the homeowner immediately into custody.
Our heart goes out to the juvenile victim, and more than anything, to make sure that this child and this child's family knows that there are people working hard, a number of people working hard, to make sure there is justice for this person.
The homeowner, who has not been identified, was released after 24 hours pending further investigation.
Oh, how nice. Now it turns out the homeowner was not released after 24 hours. The homeowner was released after 2 hours. He shoots a 16-year-old kid he shot him in the head, and then when the kid was bleeding on the sidewalk, he shot him again in the arm. The only mistake the kid made, he was supposed to go to 115th Terrace, and he went to 115th Street, and he was going to pick up his twin brother and ended up a gunshot victim. A gunshot victim.
All things Randi at RandiRhodes.com.
Go for launch.
Speaking truth to power, the Randi Rhodes Show.
Let us clearly understand the moment we are in. A moment in which our hard-won freedoms are under attack. Because just look at where we are. Extremists across our country attack the freedom to vote. They ban books to attempt to erase America's full history. They attack the ability of people to love openly with pride. They attack the freedom of a woman to make decisions about her own body instead of the government. They attack medication that for 20 years the FDA ruled as being safe. And just yesterday in Florida, extremists there signed a 6-week ban before most women even know they're pregnant. And then, isn't it interesting that in the midst of all these attacks on fundamental freedoms, these so-called leaders dare to tell us they are fighting for our freedoms? Don't you find that interesting? Some have gone so far as to name and brand their agenda the, quote, freedom blueprint. Don't fall for the okie doke. Don't fall for the okie doke. Because as we know, freedom, well, it doesn't censor books. Freedom does not criminalize doctors and punish women. Freedom does not turn off a microphone when an elected leader is speaking.
No, it's freedom for the NRA. It's freedom for industry. It's freedom for the well-situated. It's freedom to own everything. It's freedom to never pay taxes. That's what their version of freedom is. And if you are a bystander and you get killed in their freedom agenda, well, too bad for you. Too bad for you, because now we'll just make more. Because women are now enslaved as breeders, and their job is to make more as people kill each other in service to the enslavers, the corporate, the elite, the billionaires, the people who inherit great wealth. They don't want to pay taxes. This is the crux of every damn thing that's going on now. They can't sell you that anymore. They can't tell you that, oh, we're going to have to cut food stamps. We're going to have to cut Medicaid. We're going to have to cut Medicare. We're going to have to raise the age of Social Security or steal out of the Social Security Trust Fund. They can't sell you that. They can't sell you that. So instead, they put guns in your hand and say, kill each other. Don't worry. We've enslaved the women. They will make more. It's such a sick and freaky dystopian view of a representative republic or a democratic idea. It is so anti-democratic. It's so autocratic. It's so fascist. And it's so happening. It's on, people. This is it. It is on. This freedom is not for you. This freedom is not for me. This freedom is for the NRA.
Gun violence is now the #1 cause for death of children in our nation.
Oh, God.
And a heartbreaking 1 in 5 Americans has lost a family member to gun violence. And you know, while all this violence impacts all communities in devastating ways, we know it does not do so equally. Black people are only 13% of America's population, but more than 60% of homicide victims from gun violence. Meanwhile, as Rev said, we speak here while the NRA is holding its convention in Indiana.
Woohoo.
Now, you know what they've called it? They have called it a, quote, freedom-filled weekend. So we must ask, freedom-filled for who exactly? Because it's not for the parents who pray that their children will come home from school safe, from a classroom in Uvalde or Nashville. Not for those who pray that their loved ones will come home safe from a bank in Louisville, Kentucky, from a grocery store in Buffalo, or from everyday gun violence in communities across our nation. Let us all declare enough is enough. Enough is enough.
Yeah, no. We need an assault weapons ban like Toot Sweet. We need it right freaking now. And America is down with it. America is also for universal background checks. Like 98% of us, including gun owners, want universal background checks. A lot of us are for safe storage requirements. Almost everybody wants a red flag law, except for the NRA-loving states. Okay, they don't. They don't want a red flag law. And you know what's interesting is the red flag law would have prevented the first shooting in Louisville. Well, they had two just in 5 days. So you have to, now discern between shooting A, shooting B, and so it goes. The alphabet has a long ways to go. But yeah, I mean, the red flag law, everybody knew. This kid's mother knew. He wasn't a kid. He was 28 years old or some such crap. And his mother knew that he was depressed and should not be around weapons. She made the 911 call. She said, "Oh, I know he doesn't have a weapon because I make sure he doesn't. He's in a physician's care for psychiatric issues." Okay, so the red flag law would have worked there. The safe storage law would have worked at Sandy Hook. Because that miscreant, that satanic deviant who went in there and killed, 19 little sixth graders or 6-year-olds, first graders, he got the guns from his mommy who refused to secure her guns. So we know that, some of these things did not have to happen by virtue of those two things. But Mike Pence has the solution. Mike Pence thought this through as a Christian,
Too many mass shooters languish in prison for years.
Oh.
Well, men and women, I don't have to tell you. Justice delayed is justice denied. It's inconceivable to me that the shooter who killed 17 people at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in 2018 is languishing in a Florida prison. I believe the time has come to institute a federal death penalty statute with accelerated appeal to ensure that those who engage in mass shootings face execution in months, not years.
Death!
His solution to the death is more death. Yeah.
Well, their solution to guns is more guns. Their solution to death is more death. Okay? We have this really difficult thing we have to do. We have to teach them that the children were once a fetus. Yeah, we have to teach them that.
Call in, connect. To speak to Randi, call 561-270-3844. 561-270-3844.
Here's the thing, the solutions, because there's clearly a problem. The solutions are clear. We must have reasonable gun safety laws at the state and the federal level. And by the way, most gun owners agree.
Yeah.
Even the majority of NRA members support background checks for all gun purchases. So let's reject the false choice that some are pushing to suggest that you're either in favor of upholding the Second Amendment or you're in favor of passing reasonable gun safety laws. Let us reject that false choice. We're not falling for the okey doke. And let us continue to demand that leaders step up and show some courage in state houses and in the United States Congress. To make background checks universal, repeal the liability shield that protects gun manufacturers, and to renew the assault weapons ban.
I mean, we have class action lawsuits because Juul put menthol in their juice. You know what I'm saying? And I just got a little card. I just got a little card in the mail saying that I had purchased some Juul products, and so I was due some sort of settlement from the class action that they brought against Juul vape juice. Yeah. So, but that will never happen with guns because guns are the only product manufactured here in these United States. It's an $11 billion industry that's being protected here. And it's being protected with dead bodies, right? That's like the sandbag for the NRA. The dead bodies, they just pile up so that you can't get to the NRA. You have to climb over my dead body, right? But you can't sue a gun manufacturer. You can't even hold accountable a shooter. Like this 16-year-old kid, okay? All he did was go pick up his mother told him, go get your brother. And I mean, these were kids with very bright futures that were damaged over this weekend. This kid wanted to be a chemical engineer. His aunt is a doctor. His mother is a nurse. He was gifted, the ability of ambition, hard work, and a good brain. And some 80-year-old old man decided he was freaked out by the presence of a 16-year-old kid at his front door who just rang the doorbell that he shot him. He shot him. This kid's going to be traumatized for the rest of his life. In Alabama, one kid he had just won a full board scholarship, full sale scholarship for football, okay? Got shot in the leg. But that's the price of freedom, everybody. That's the price of freedom. Young, hopeful people who have talent, who have, dedication and a great work ethic. The price of freedom is that an 80-year-old, soily old man gets to go to the door, pee his pants, and shoot you. For no other reason but you showed up at his door and he wasn't expecting anybody, right? And hey, it's America. There's going to be a Sweet 16. Bring a gun. Why? Who doesn't realize that that's a wonderful, Sweet 16 gift to show up packing? I mean, this is so sick and twisted. Hey, got a problem at work? Not happy there? Bring a gun. Bring a gun. Oh, you're in a doctor's care, you're under psychiatric care, and your mom thinks that you should be nowhere near weapons of war. Well, hell, he can legally go and purchase a weapon of war and go and shoot up his workplace. That's America. It's the price of freedom, you know. Meanwhile, there is no freedom for me. There's no freedom for my kid. There's no freedom for your daughters. There's no freedom for LGBT youth. There's no freedom for, God help you if you're transgendered, because everybody's out to do something about you. Not that I'm sure why. I think transgender people are probably closer to the image of God who created man and woman than any other being on the planet. But somehow these satanic weirdos that, only cheer death, that's what they would cheer. That's all they cheer for. You mention execution, you mention death, you mention shooting, you mention being armed to the teeth, you mention citizen militia, you mention, your government is dysfunctional, therefore you have to shoot it. People cheer that crap. That is some sick, twisted stuff. That is so Orwellian, I can't even breathe. I mean, it's so in front of you. It is so right there. Slavery is freedom. Guns equal safety. For who? Nobody you know, nobody I know, that's for sure. Now, what did I tell you? These old men who are on many, many meds, they're going to get all freaked out and full of anxiety naturally because all they think about is death, right? And they're full of anxiety, are going to go to the door and see a kid who, by accident rang his doorbell because he should have gone to 115th Terrace instead of 115th Street. Now, why do people do that? Why do they name terrace and street the same thing? That's like sadism right there. Why can't you cheer that? It's sadistic. 115th Terrace ain't the same. And there's another thing with the people who name streets. Here we have North Congress and South Congress, and they're completely different, although they're the same street. But anyway, the kid made a mistake. He went to the terrace address instead of the street address, or vice versa. And he ends up getting shot in the head and in the arm by an 80-year-old man who answered the door and wasn't expecting anybody. And now his entire life is going to be different. But it's freedom for the old man, ain't it? Freedom for him. Why, your rights are more secure than ever when you're at home. Somebody comes to your door and you don't think that you're expecting anybody. Yes, you get to shoot them. Really? Is that the country you want to live in? Is that it? Now we got governors that are deploying their own personal armed militias, answerable to nobody but the governor. What could go wrong there? You got a corrupt Supreme Court. You have no faith in the justice system. I mean, the whole thing's imploding. There is no more freedom in America. You can't read what you want. You can't vote where you want. You can't be married to who you want. And they signaled this to you, the Supreme Court did. The Supreme Court told you when they decided Roe v. Wade was not a constitutional right to privacy. Oh, no, I don't know what it is, but it's not that. They decided that they were also going to put in there a little jarring message for the gay married people who are just having families and growing kids and doing well. We have to disturb your pleasant universe, too. We're going after you. And also, Clarence, this is the most Orwellian thing, is Clarence Thomas is married to a white woman, as we all know, who is a right-wing activist who declares no salary, even though she makes good money doing it. But that aside, they are an interracial couple, an interracial married couple, and they want to do away with misogyny. I mean, it's like a throwback name from yesteryear. They want to bring it back. They want to bring back the good old days of the 1700s. We used to joke around saying it wasn't, the 1900s. It was the 1800s. No, it's not. It's not a joke. It's not funny anymore. They're serious about it. They want to do it, and they're in the process. Books will be banned. Voting is banned. Medicine is banned. Let's undo the FDA. Let's make everything unsafe. Let's make people have no confidence in medicine. Let's make people have no confidence in FDA-approved drugs. Seriously, what the hell kind of country are you making here? And of course, the only reason why this can happen is because of gerrymandering. I swear.
Clear for takeoff. Randi Rhodes. RandiRhodes.com.
Hey, so, I was telling you I was doing some tech stuff, and it's worth it. I mean, it blew my mind. I could barely concentrate on my real life, but all for you. Yes, for you. So what we did was we started a randyrhodes.substack.com website, and it's awesome. It's a publishing website. And so what we can publish there is everything. Can publish the video podcasts, can publish the audio podcasts, and the homework is there for free. There's lots of free stuff there. There's, the little Randi in a Minutes. Those are all free. And now they're shareable. You just click on a share button and you can share them to whatever platforms you like. But everything will come right to your email, right into your inbox. So it's awesome. And I love it. I really do. So visit us at randyrhodes.substack.com. Sign up for free. Get all the free stuff. And then if you really like it, love it, need it, have to have it, then go ahead and buy a stinking podcast subscription. And you'll get both. You'll get the video and the audio. You just put buds in your ear, walk around with your phone and listen. Or watch it on a big screen. Whatever you like to do, you can do when you buy a stinking podcast. Now, if you already have a podcast that you bought from randyrhodes.com, it's the same product, just a different delivery method. So think of it this way. So you got the same products, but now they're in different stores. So it's all cool. It's all okay. If you have a subscription, you will get everything that you signed up to get. If you visit us at Substack, you'll get everything that we give in a subscription, video, audio, etc., but right to your inbox. So you choose how you want it, when you want it, where you want it, and we'll get it to you. And thank you so much for supporting our show the way that you do. It's amazing, and it allows us to innovate and do new stuff. So thank you. Thank you very much, and visit us at randyrhodes.substack.com.
This is the Randi Rhodes Show. To speak with Randi, dial 561-270-3844. That's 561-270-3844.
for folks at home, if it seems like you're thinking you can't get through a day without one of us here reporting on yet another mass shooting, well, you are onto something, because that is the reality here in this country. There have been 162 mass shootings in the U.S. so far this year alone, according to the Gun Violence Archive. And our kids are noticing. How could they not? According to the latest CBS News poll, gun violence is a top worry among kids. 6 in 10, in fact, say it's a major concern, something on their minds. And it's on the very same list as you find more common teenage concerns like bullying and academic performance. Now, how to deal with it? Well, more than 60% of Americans are in favor of an outright ban on AR-15 semi-automatic rifles. That's the type of gun used in school shootings in Nashville and Uvalde and so many other places. The ideological differences, however, remain stark. Most self-identified liberals, for example, think the U.S. would be safer if fewer to even no people own guns, while 4 in 10 conservatives think the U.S. would be safer if more people, even everyone, had guns. And so there we are. Overall, Americans have grown increasingly frustrated over a partisan gun control debate, and many believe that neither political party is doing enough.
So, listen, let's just open up those numbers for you just for a brief moment so that you can understand what that man just said to you. He said that 40% of the GOP, 40% of them, which is less than a majority of them, believe we'd be safer if more people had guns. And that's because they can't think their way out of a paper bag. OK, but 30% of America, let's say 40% of America still identifies as being a Republican, still identifies as part of the GOP. So if that's the truth, then you're talking about less than half of 40% of this country want more guns. So why do we even care what they think? Why do we even give a rat's ass what they think? Okay, they're a tiny little sliver. The problem, as I said going to the break, is the gerrymandering freaking states. That is the problem. North Carolina, I'm talking to you about this Supreme Court case, Moore v. Harper, which will give even more power to state legislatures to choose the result of a free and fair election, to choose who wins. But Moore versus Harper is a North Carolina case, and it looked at gerrymandering. And it decided that the maps that North Carolina created were partisan gerrymandered maps, that they were illegal. And still, North Carolina got to use them to vote in this last election. That's a rigged election. That's a fixed election where a court actually says, yeah, those maps are bad. Those maps were, why don't you just draw little, 25-mile square boxes and just do it across your state and everybody lands where they land. No. You want to partisan gerrymander your state so that the vote of Democrats in your state is diluted by the Republican vote in your state, even though it's probably like a 50-50 split. Yeah, that's what we want to do. Well, that's illegal. Yeah, but could we use it this one last time? Yes. That's what Moore v. Harper is. And this doesn't happen unless the Republicans are in charge of the state legislature, because they are the minority. As I just showed you, even in those national news reports they're telling you 40% of the GOP, but they don't tell you that that's less than half of this country, or less than half of a third of this country. Right? But they give them some sort of equal feeling about, the numbers that they represent. This is bullcrap. This is absolute bullcrap. That's why Wayne LaPierre stands on a stage and threatens. He extorts Republicans. And he says, okay, I'm not going to say anything about your gerrymander. I'm not going to say anything about your illegal, behavior. I'm not going to say anything about, the right-wing lunatic fringe that sits on courts, because they'll always side with me. But I will threaten you anyway. I'm going to threaten you, and I'm going to threaten you with your political life. I'm going to threaten you. I'm going to tell you and this entire audience. And when the camera turned around to pan the attendees at this year's National Rifle Association Jamboree, their freedom-filled weekend, everyone there had blue hair. Everyone there was a pasty, wrinkly old person. Every single person there. This is not a diverse group. These are angry, old, white people and they want the authority. They want the ability to own arsenals for whatever fantasy they have that they will get to use them. I mean, listen, if the government actually goes, continues to devolve, don't you know you're going to be a slave? Don't you know that? Well, I'll shoot. What are you going to shoot? You're going to shoot the tank? You're going to shoot the... Listen, this kid that we saw, this 21-year-old, there's no way that 21-year-old person who was, putting intelligence documents in his Discord server, there is no way he didn't have help. I'm just saying. You'll find out in the end. We'll all find out in the end. How did this guy get hold of such a wide range of topics when we all know that secret and top secret clearances also have attached to them need to know? Well, an IT journeyman, which is what this guy was, which means he's supervised at all times. A journeyman is always supervised, had help, okay? Because the only reason why he had a clearance is because he worked in an intelligence wing building. And to get in a building like that, you need a security clearance. But it didn't give him a need to know anything about Ukraine. It didn't give him a need to know anything about China. It didn't give him a need to know anything about Israel and Egypt and NATO, which is, this was intelligence that was compartmentalized. And unless you had, an assignment where your intelligence wing was looking specifically at Egypt or looking specifically at Ukraine or looking specifically at Russia, or then you would see that portion of the compartment. You wouldn't see the whole freaking picture. Somebody was giving him this stuff, okay? And this is like, this is what the reaction to being bullied online is. You want to appear like tough and strong, that you know secrets that no one else does, to be accepted in this creature-like online thing where you're not even really talking to humans. Algorithms are disseminating your stuff, okay, in the Discord chat room. It was a small little thing. And then someone in that chat room put it on Telegram, okay? And so that person, but they brought a tank to his house to arrest him. They brought a tank. He's a right-wing gun nut. He's a self-proclaimed right-wing gun-loving nut. There were photos of his weapon where he said, "Isn't she pretty?" Okay, he was in love with a piece of steel. Okay, he was in love with that thing. And it didn't help him. And it ain't going to help you. So the best thing you could do is decide that you want to help. And you know who you really want to help? Children. Because they were once a fetus. If for no other reason, if I can't make you care about children, you don't want to feed them, you don't want to read to them, you don't want them to be educated, you don't want them safe from gun violence, you don't want them, going to, getting FDA-approved medicine. So all I could tell you is they were once a fetus. Can't I make you care about their lives once they're out of my womb? Can't I make you care once they actually got the rug rash from the canal, from being birthed? Holy crap, man. This is some real scary, scary crap. And that the media doesn't do a better job of explaining to you that this is a tiny minority of America. Tiny. We're only in day 106 of this year, and we've had 162 mass shootings. We're not winning this. And everybody that wants a gun has a gun. Everybody that wants a gun has 2 guns. Everybody that wants a gun has 5 guns. There are 400 million guns in this country. There are only 335 million of us. Children don't have guns. Although I will say, what's her name? Kristi Noem. She had lip injections. I keep telling you, don't mess with your lips. But anyway, she shot herself up in the face. Now she looks like a blow-up doll, okay? And she's out there saying her 2-year-old has a rifle. And her 2-year-old's going to need it really soon. Dude, you have lost your way. You are so lost. You are so gone. You are so beyond reach. She's giving a 2-year-old weapons. Oh, Lauren Boebert's son, who is predominantly featured on the Christmas card of death, So apparently he had a court hearing and he refused. Well, I don't know if he refused or he forgot or he didn't care or it's like a big F you. My mom's a congressman. I don't know. He didn't show up for his court hearing and no arrest warrant was issued for him. No. She is like mother, like son. She didn't show up 4 times for court hearings. 4 times. This woman was ordered to appear in court. She never appeared, and she's a congresswoman. What does that say? What does that say? You better be in the elite crowd. You better be in the, the little club, or else, the law's going to hurt you. It's going to come down for you, but not for me.
Mary had a little man.
We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon.
I have a dream.
Change has come to America.
Believe me.
Help is on the way.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show.
Turn up your mind.
Our proposal will also restore work requirements that ensure able-bodied adults without dependents earn a paycheck and learn new skills. That will grow our economy and help the supply chain. Right now, there are more job openings than people who are looking for jobs. You know why? It's in part because the Biden administration weakened work requirements.
Get out of here.
Incentives matter. And the incentives today are out of whack. It's time to get Americans back to work.
He's so insincere. It's unbelievable. He's so disingenuous. So there was Kevin McCarthy literally talking at the New York Stock Exchange, telling the fat cats that his plan for America doesn't include raising more revenue. It doesn't include taxing billionaires and no one under $400,000. No one under. But people over $400,000, corporate titans, billionaires, people who use capital gains as a way to pay less than a person who runs their own small business like me does. Yes, it's tax time. I am acutely aware of how much tax I have to pay simply because I own my own business and I'm self-employed. There's a penalty to that in this United States. You would think that they would want to incentivize that. But oh no, they incentivize billionaire fat cats to not, just to feel real comfortable, real confident that you will never have to pay taxes with us. You will never have to do it. But we're going to cut people off of food stamps. So I came here to tell you that. That's our solution to, not having enough revenue to cover our debt. That's our solution. Starve them. It's the starvation diet, everybody. And as a girl, I have to tell you, it doesn't work. Second you eat something, look at Oprah. She did the liquid diet. Remember that? What was that? Optifast? And literally, wheeled out a little red flyer full of fat, a wagon full of 60 pounds of disgusting, oozing, pussy gravy fat. And, was in a size 6 Calvin's and was very proud. Second she had a morsel. Second she had a cracker. The second she had a little slice of cheese or bread. Boom!
You got to give her credit, though, because when she began it, she incentivized. She was a motivational factor for all these women that wanted to lose weight.
I tried it.
And then when she failed, she made it okay to not succeed at these diets. She made it okay to fail.
No, she didn't make it okay to fail.
Yeah, she's an inspiration to millions of women that it's okay that you didn't do it.
Listen, I love her. You know that I do. I'm the ultimate Oprah fan. I mean, I remember one year when I was working up at Air America, it was one of the most depressing jobs I ever had. And I'm sitting in my little apartment on the 9th floor looking out the window going, it's only the 9th floor. If I jumped out, I'd probably only break a few things. Oh, you know what I'll do? I'll watch Oprah. And I bought the Oprah 25th anniversary, multiple disc for the CD player. And I literally went to McDonald's with my dog, walked little Simon over to the McDonald's on Madison Avenue, and I bought, enough food to have a bed picnic every single day. And every single day I would watch Oprah and cry. And cry. So I love Oprah, but Oprah was just as depressed as I was to find out that you can't just, starve yourself and expect it to stay off. That the second you eat, a little slice of bread, a piece of toast, bam, it's all back. So, but this is what they want to do to American, households. They just want to starve them. It's immoral. It's unacceptable. And this is their only solution, because the real solution to what ails us is to stop giving tax cuts to billionaires, to stop incentivizing hoarding all the wealth. We have shows about hoarders, and we always focus on the lowest common denominator of hoarder, okay? The poor little woman with too many cats and a lot of garbage in her living room from Amazon. That's the one we're going to do the whole show about, and, we're going to make it into some sort of a disease, and we just don't know what to do. We're going to have interventionists. But what about the people who hoard all the freaking money? That doesn't seem to be a show. I know there's a show there. Showrunners, get on it. But Kevin McCarthy went to Wall Street and made this, he unveiled his secret proposal, and he's holding the debt limit of this country hostage, because I'm telling you right now, that's why they want everybody armed, so we could fight each other when they burn it down to the ground. If we default on our debt, do you have any idea what that would look like? No, you don't, if you're being honest, because nobody's ever seen it. It's never happened. They threatened to do it in 2011 with over Obamacare. The thing that they said they wanted to repeal and replace, but they had no replacement after long last. They were lying, right? They just needed the Tea Party to start getting revved up. And the Tea Party and the racism and the contretemps about, health care, they're going to have death panels. And, everything that they sell has to do with death and making you afraid of it, or telling you can control it. You can control who dies. You can kill them. It's a very sick and twisted crowd they got over there. But okay, so they literally are saying to you that they are going to burn the whole place down to the ground by letting us become a deadbeat nation, by letting us become a defaulting nation, a nation in complete and abject. So in 2011, over Obamacare, they waited until hours, literally hours, before the debt limit was reached. Well, not the debt limit was reached, but before default had to be declared. Right now, we're past the debt limit. We've been past it since January. I told you that on January 19th, we hit the debt limit. We hit the debt ceiling. And Janet Yellen is sitting there trying to figure out how to, just like you do, how to delay payment to this one so that one can get paid, how to keep essential services going, and maybe you move it from, maybe you put this over here. They're juggling the entire future of the United States of America. And the answer for them is to send Kevin McCarthy to Wall Street to guarantee them, don't worry, we're going to take it out on the poor. We're going to take it out on the poorest Americans. As immoral and unacceptable as everyone in this country knows it is, we're willing to go there. We're willing to do that. I'm here saying it to you, so don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. And I swear to God, the idea of what would happen, it is kind of uncharted territory, I must tell you. But if it happened, the best guesstimates look like this.
What is his goal here, talking to Wall Street or from Wall Street instead of at Congress?
Trying to say we have a plan here after really, weeks now that the White House and Democrats have been saying, show us the plan. What's the Republican plan here? The White House has been saying we want to just raise the debt ceiling cleanly here because this is just too dangerous to risk unsettling the rest of the world by the United States playing brinkmanship with its full faith and credit. Look, we raised the debt ceiling December 2021, Congress did. We probably can get until this summer, but the deadline is already passed. The debt ceiling has been hit, and now the Treasury Department is moving the money around, quite literally moving the money around accounts so that we can keep the bills paid until this gets settled. So the deadline is behind us. There's not even a countdown clock here. It's already rung. The bell has rung. So here's what happens if they don't answer this very quickly here. You could have a debt default. The United States can't pay all of its bills, or even like a partial debt default where we just pay our foreign creditors, but then we're giving IOUs inside the United States. Wouldn't that look really weak for the world's largest economy? You would have a market crash, probably a recession. There's no debate about that, how terrible it would be. Then those moving, deciding who to pay and when. You could see delayed pay for federal workers. You could see IOUs going to Social Security recipients and VA benefits. All of that certainly feeding into that worry about a pretty dramatic, damaging recession if the United States were to go down this path and not get the politics of this figured out.
And his solution, starve people. In France, they tried to raise the retirement age from 62 to 64, and people literally poured out into the street got into a national strike, called for a national strike, and they have a national strike because they tried to raise the retirement age from 62 to 64. But here in the United States, we've already raised the retirement age. Now they're sitting there actually showing you that you won't get your Social Security check at all in the United States. No, you'll get an IOU. And people are like, okay.
All things Randi at RandiRhodes.com.
Go for launch.
Speaking truth to power, the Randi Rhodes Show.
What we are hearing from our Republican colleagues is an absolute commitment to defaulting on our bills. And this is a manufactured crisis that the cost of which are going to be borne by the American people. This is very dangerous political theater that the Republicans are engaging in. And it is very telling that Speaker McCarthy is going to Wall Street, not Main Street, to make his announcements. But let's be clear, it is the American people and Main Street businesses that are going to pay for this. It will be Social Security recipients, Medicare, our veterans benefits that are at risk. Here in Massachusetts, just getting close to default could increase mortgages by $250 a month.
Oh, God.
And that's repeated across the country. Credit card interest rates can go up. Car loans will go up as much as $800. And the last time they played this brinksmanship, the average American close to retirement lost $20,000 in savings. So this political theater, this irresponsible threatening to default our country's credit is going to be borne by the American people and will really hurt our economy and will hurt families' budgets.
Yeah, because if they can't have it, then nobody can, right? And they'll just burn it down to the ground, and that's it. They'll just beat it to a pulp because that's what they do, to people that don't want them. So this is scary, and this is, preventable, obviously, but we're talking about Social Security getting an IOU in the mail instead of getting your check or instead of getting your direct deposit, Medicare not paying the bills anymore, can't go to the doctor anymore, can't finish your chemo, can't finish your radiation, can't finish your whatever it is that you're trying to do. Your medicines don't come, your specialty pharmacies aren't getting paid. You don't get, any refills for your Dexcom. You don't get any, nothing. Nothing at all, right? And that's just, Social Security and Medicare. Then you talk about the veterans benefits. Oh, yeah, we love our troops. Bull crap. Every single time somebody tries to use the VA, there's another obstacle drive 50 miles. Oh, and this one doesn't have x-rays. And this one doesn't have a blood draw. You have to go to a separate it's unbelievable. So VA benefits get cut. And, the food thing, right? I mean, you saw when they cut the COVID emergency funding that was going to the SNAP benefit, people were good. People were finally good. West Virginia, we saw people were good there, right? We started to see people in Pennsylvania not sit in food lines, Iowa not sit in food lines, Texas not sit in food lines. Now, all of a sudden, they go, oh, no, we're going to cut you back from your $300 COVID emergency benefit in food stamps, and we're going to take you back down to your $22 a week. $22 a week? Yeah. And so what happened? The food pantries are running out of food, okay? The lines are miles long again in Iowa, in Texas, in West Virginia, in Pennsylvania, where people work. They work. Most people that get SNAP benefits do work. Everything that Kevin McCarthy said there was a lie because he's Kevin McCarthy. And they also want to take the benefit down to 3 months every 3 years. That's all you will get SNAP benefits for, 3 months every 3 years. Good luck to you. This is their solution to the debt problem. Instead of raising revenue, instead of finding the money, instead of saying, okay, we have to reverse engineer that $2 trillion tax cut that we gave to the wealthiest Americans because we need it now. No, we'll limit food stamp benefits to 3 months every 3 years. I swear to God, 3 months in any 36-month period when you are not employed or not participating in a work or training program for at least 20 hours a week. Now, again, most SNAP beneficiaries do work. So that does absolutely nothing to boost the availability of working people. I would suggest you stop shooting the working people, stop killing the working people, and maybe you would have enough working people to fill those empty jobs, which is a great problem to have, but leave it to them to make, you know, an extraordinary, you know, menu of options for working, an extraordinary choice now for jobs. Only they could turn that into a disaster. Only they could turn that into a bad situation, an ugly economy. Now, you're talking about there's another bill that has been introduced in South Dakota by Representative Dusty Johnson. He suggested SNAP work requirements for adults deemed able-bodied and without dependents. His bill imposes a stringent requirement on adults between 18 and 65. Now, it used to be that after you were 50, you didn't have to meet a work requirement, right? And so they looked at, the 10 million people that would lose their SNAP benefits. 10 million people is what they would take it away. Instead of taxing a handful of the most profitable corporations who pay zero, and raising billions of dollars that way. They're playing politics with our lives. They're playing politics with my innards. They're playing politics with our children, their ability to walk safely to a park, a bowling alley, a movie theater, a shopping mall, a grocery store. Nobody is safe anymore. Nobody. They like it like that. They cheer death. They love it. And then they're going to complain they don't have enough warm bodies to fill jobs. Stop killing them.
I don't know if you can relate to this, Randy, but it might have been for the first time in my entire life. I was out at the movies, and I had to stop right in the lobby, and it hit me like a bolt of lightning. Could a shooting happen here? Is this a possibility? It is. It has crept its way into my everyday life, and it's not boo-hoo. It's just, this is the effect of terrorism.
That just hit you?
Like, I had never been out enjoying myself and thought, oh, wait, a shooting could break out.
Really?
I had not until this weekend, actually.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, see, after Aurora, I found myself going to the movies. And first of all, I didn't really want to go to the movie theater anymore. And then I finally did go to the movie theater. I forget what it was, but there was something you had to see on a big screen. I can't remember what it was. Might have been one of the animated movies, that's really beautiful. And I wanted to see it on a big screen. I don't know. But after Aurora, when they shot up that movie theater, I went in the movie theater after a long time of not going. And the first thing I did was look for the exits. The first thing I did was look for the lighted exit sign so that I would know how to get out of there. That's America. How sick and sad is that? I remember when, Putin choked out with gas a whole bunch of kids and women and children in a theater in Russia, and I thought, oh my God, that is like such a scary way to die. How brutal is that? Who does that? We do that. Not gas, bullets. Nobody feels secure. Nobody feels comfortable now. And there's no place to feel comfortable because it happens everywhere. It happens at concerts. It happens at movie theaters. It happens at synagogue. It happens at church. It happens in mosques. It happens in grocery stores. King Soopers. Just going grocery shopping. People ended up dead. Happens in cafeterias. It happens everywhere. Schools. Little kids now. Little kids. And you have sick people with shows, no less, sitting on them saying that's the price.
Clear for takeoff. Randi Rhodes. Call in, connect. To speak to Randi, call 561-270-3844.
561-270-3844. You can convince somebody to change ideas. You can have discussions over what people want. You can't have discussions over who people are. And what Trump has done is he's made the MAGA hat a symbol of who he is and who they are. And so you put that thing on, you don't believe in those ideas, you believe this represents you. And I was talking with a gun rights advocate, Ryan Bussey, recently, and he equated the MAGA hat with the AR-15. And so we look at this gun culture we're a part of, and you have discussions of how do we lower these casualties, and you bring up something like assault weapons, and what they've trickily done is they've made the AR-15 a new MAGA hat. So you can't debate whether or not that is something a child should have, because now that's become a point of pride and a point of identity, and that to me is something that is really hard to change.
All right, John in South Carolina.
Hey, Randy.
Hey.
Let me turn my TV off.
Okay.
You're a very intellectual person. I'm 68 years old, and I go back, and I'm kind of a hippie back in the day. But I'm amazed with the amount of content of what you draw from for your discourse. Now, my opinion is since we've been in the two embassies got blowed up in Africa, and then we had 9/11. And we had the destroyer blown up in Yemen when it was in port there. We've been in these forever wars, and it's kind of militarized the psyche of the American people because of these mass terrorist attacks like 9/11, and we've been militarized in our memories, in our psyche, and how we live. And we've always been a nation of lots of proliferation of weapons because of our independence from Britain and the Second Amendment. Now, that's not a good thing or a bad thing, but what I've got to say is we're at a point right now where we have extreme, hyper-partisan political divides in our voting public, the Republicans, Democrats, Independents, everybody. It reminds me of what I read back in the day of the French Revolution and the Jacobins. We're at the point where the discourse like you and the right-hand side, the Republicans, conservatives, is getting so extreme that it borders on indicating and advocating for violence. Now, the young people in this nation that have weapons available, either they're illegal or they're bought legally or whatever.
They're all bought legally.
Through our society. And I have to say, in the summer of 2020, Summer of Love, there was so much tolerance for looting, violence, attack on police, attack on each other. I mean, this horrific shooting of the boy going to get his brother at the man's house, the 80-year-old man shooting him, that's completely horrendous. And I'd pray to God all night long in a fever pitch that would never have happened. But how much does the media cover all the black-on-black and brown-on-brown violence in Chicago, New York, San Francisco? So it's being manipulated by the press from one side to the other for advertising dollars, for power, position, ego, and money. And I don't want you to become part of that, because you are a righteous person back from the day of the generation I came from. We got to get back to this. We've got to love the Lord your God with all your heart, your mind, your spirit, your soul, and your being, and treat other people like we'd like to be treated, and keep that in our daily life, in our discourse, and take the hatred and the reactionism out of how we deal with each other, and just take 10 breaths, calm down, and have a debate. You can agree to disagree. You don't have to hate the other side. They're not demons. It's like the previous show before you. He equated the conservatives and the Republicans with the Nazi Party, and Trump was Hitler. That kind of talk. And we've got guns, and we've got a proliferation of no southern border with all these drugs coming, and China is trying to funnel all this stuff in and destroy us from within. That's a very dangerous component in our society. We've got to calm down and learn to talk to each other. And a gun doesn't kill anybody. It's the person that's holding the gun. And I'm not an NRA member, and I'm not trying to advocate everybody to have a gun, but you got to look at it logically and simply. The gun doesn't kill anybody. the person holding the gun with his motives and what's going on between his left and right earlobe kill somebody. So I'll be quiet and I'll listen to you now.
Okay. Can't have gun violence without guns.
Okay, well, so we do away from guns. Are we going to do away with submarines and nuclear and missiles and murders and bombs and war and tanks?
Is that?
I mean, I'd love to
I thought you said you were going to let me talk now.
You're living in a fantasy world if you think we're going to do away with warlike weapons.
Uh-huh. Okay.
I'm listening. I'm listening, Randy.
No, you're not.
Yes, I am.
I wish you would.
No, I am. I'm going to shut up and listen to you. You can go on for 2 or 3 minutes. I'll listen. I won't say a word.
All we want to do is get food to the kids and water, safe, clean water. And somehow that makes me a left-wing radical.
No, it does not.
Wait
we
a minute.
do the best job of that in this country, in any country on the face of the earth,
Don't make me hang
Randy.
up on you. My audience is not appreciating you talking over me after I
we do a better job of growing crops and getting food to our populace than any other country.
Okay, never mind. He's a liar. He lied. First of all, he conflated, 30 years of history to the gun issue. Look, we're the only country in the world that has this problem. The entire world has had participation in many, many wars, especially ours, which I am not for, okay? The invasion of Afghanistan, the invasion of Iraq, not for. But the entire world participated with us. The entire democratic, free world went to war with us. And yet they don't have this kind of carnage on their streets. Do you know why? Because they have mental health care, number one. Number two, you don't have to beg for food. Number three, people are housed. Number four, they have limits and restrictions on who can own a gun and how much ammunition a person can have. And when they see a problem, like a mass shooting in New Zealand or a mass shooting in Australia, the people say, okay, buy back my gun. Just make me whole for what I paid for it, and I will bring it to you. In order to protect the rest of our population, I will do this patriotic thing for my country to keep it safe and secure, to protect children, to protect people who are in a mosque, even in places like New Zealand and Australia. They have plenty of the same problems we have. The whole world enjoys video games and music and terrorist attacks and all kinds of contretemps, the whole world. We're the only ones that have the slaughter of our children on almost a daily basis being something that people say out loud is the price you pay for freedom. I'm sorry? If no one's free, you don't have freedom. So why are you paying the price?
This is the Randi Rhodes Show. To speak with Randi, dial 561-270-3844. That's 561-270-3844.
Since you've been in recess, there have been conflicting rulings on an abortion pill, and the Supreme Court is reviewing the case this week to see if it'll stand. As we all know, 64% of Americans think this should be legal and accessible. So the question, Whip Clark, is what, if anything, is Congress planning to do in case the Supreme Court says, yeah, the Texas ruling stands and mifepristone is basically banned?
Yeah, you know, Jonathan, you're absolutely right. The American people understand that the Republican extremists are going for a national abortion ban, and that is the opportunity they see coming out of the federal court in Texas that is now before the Supreme Court. They see this as another important milestone in their march to totally ban abortion in this country. And what the American people know is that there is no freedom, there is no equality when politicians are controlling these most personal decisions around having children. These decisions should be left to women, to families, in consultation with their doctors and their faith. Full stop. So we are going to continue as Democrats to do everything we can, working with the Biden administration to protect this right.
I mean, honestly, who in their right mind thinks that the majority of this country is getting the representation that the majority has earned? Pretty much no one. Pretty much no one thinks that. 98% of Americans want background checks. About 90% are for safe storage laws. Almost everyone to a man is for red flag laws. That if somebody who is, your mom or your dad or your school teacher, calls home and says, Junior's a little, in need of some care right now, whether it's because he's been bullied at school or because he is the bully at school, okay? I don't really think if you have weapons in the house, you ought to, keep them out of a safe storage scenario. I mean, everybody gets that. Everybody understands that there are basic things that could be legislated to protect us. But instead, what do you want to do? You want to take rights away. You want to take books away. You want to take medicine away. You want to take security away. You want to take elections away. The independent legislature theory. That's a scary one, but that's that Moore v. Harper case, okay? That's the one that says you can gerrymander your heart out. You can dilute the majority. You can dilute Democrats. You can dilute independents. You can throw them into districts where they have absolutely no power to choose anybody to represent them. We're good with that. We'll be fine. And then if on top of it we don't like the choice, we will either move as a supermajority, which we're not anywhere in this country. We will move as a supermajority to expel them because we don't like them. Or the state legislature will prevent them from even being seated, meaning we will undo the results of a free and fair election. This is what they learned from the last free and fair election, that they didn't have the power to do that, but they wanted it, and they want it now. And people are literally sitting there saying, hey, it's fine to turn America into Somalia. It's fine. That's where we're going. That is what is ahead. If the majority has their way with us. Like I said, in France, they tried to raise the age from 62 to 64 for retirement, and hundreds of thousands of people knew exactly where to go. They went to the richest men in France and protested in front of their house. Pay your fair share so we can have a nice retirement. Our pension funds are on the line because you don't contribute your fair share. But in America, it's such a riddle wrapped inside a mystery, stuffed inside an enigma, that we don't know what to do. We don't know where to go. We don't know what a strike looks like. We don't know what a national strike looks like. We don't know whose house would we protest in front of. If Kaczmarek takes away the right to a medical, early medical abortion, you don't know where to go. You don't know what you would do. Clarence Thomas is as dirty as dirt. Okay? The man is a lie. They all lied to get their confirmation. They all lied. Gorsuch lied. Precedent on precedent, Coney Barrett, she was the only one that said, well, maybe I could find something. I mean, she was like semi-honest about it because she had seen that Kavanaugh, with all his baggage, could get on the Supreme Court. So, what did she have to worry about? She could just say it out loud. I'm part of a very right-wing handmaid. They call me a handmaid. I'm part of a right-wing, sort of an Opus Dei, fascist version of Catholicism. And I really enjoy that. I collect children. I have about 7 of them. I'm looking to complete the set at 9.
Is that what she said? I'm having a hard time remembering exactly.
It's her life. That's what she does. She collects children. She collects them like they're Hummels or something, She collects them like they're bobbleheads. No, they're living, breathing beings, okay? But, of course, she can do better. So she collects them all. But this is who they are. They lied. They sat there and said it's precedent on precedent, and we would never go after contraception because of Griswold versus Connecticut. And of course, we had Roe v. Wade, which was precedent, and then the precedent on top of it was Casey, and everybody's got a right to privacy, and we would never ever go into somebody's bedroom and tell them that they couldn't use this or that, or that they couldn't get an early. But no, We might disagree with it, but we would never do that. Well, apparently they lied because they did it. They did it. And women are out in the streets. Women know what to do. They know exactly what to do.
They say no choice. We say pro-choice.
Protesters hit the streets across the country this weekend over the future of the abortion drug mifepristone as the Supreme Court weighs what to do about a Texas ruling that could take the pill off the market.
When you attack the rights of women in America, you are attacking America.
Mifepristone is one of two medications used together to carry out more than half of all abortions in the U.S. A new CBS News poll found that 67% of adults in the U.S. think the drug should continue to be available in states where abortion is legal. That includes nearly half of all Republicans.
Do you see all of this? Do you see all these numbers? Okay, half of all Republicans. Okay, so you're talking about half of 30% of this country when you ever say, including half of all Republicans, whether they're for or against, it doesn't matter. They're a minority. They're a minority, and their party is divided. Their party is divided over books. Their party is divided over freedom. Their party is divided over medicine and abortion and masking. Their party, you can trigger their party with any damn thing. Half of that party is triggerable with QAnon theories, okay, with QAnon fantasies. Half of their party thinks there are Jewish space lasers. Half of their party is afraid of a 92-year-old Hungarian man named George Soros. I swear to God, half of them are just so triggerable, so fragile, so delicate, so easily brought to tears and easily brought to screaming and yelling. Sorry, but that is a slim minority of this country, and yet they're fully represented with supermajorities in their houses, in their state houses, in their legislatures, and even in the House of Representatives of the United States of America. Now, that's not a supermajority. They only have a 4-seat majority, which we can clearly do something about in 2024. Clearly, except we're gerrymandered. But if half of the Republican Party doesn't think that taking away a woman's right to privacy is a thing, then let them vote their way. The other half vote with me. And we'll have a supermajority. And we'll clear all of this mystery up. All of it will go away. And then we could argue about how much should your disability check be instead of whether you get one. How many dollars in food stamps will get you through the month instead of, no food stamps for you, you old bastard. Get to work. And why is it that we have a country where people who work for a living, and most people do, where people work for a living can't afford food and rent? Why is that an acceptable scenario? You have countries where the population is so much smaller than ours, meaning the revenue pool is so much smaller than ours, and yet they could take care of all their people with child care. I mean, you want to see women go back to work? Women are responsible for, 38% of all the small businesses in this country? You want to see women actually be able to do stuff to contribute more and more and more? Give them child care. Give them pre-K. Give us a chance to get out of the house. We'll blow your minds. You won't ever have to work. But honestly, this is such an unacceptable thing, and the frustration is so palpable. Add to that some bullets. What do you think is going to happen?